Everybody, once again, I have information that I want to talk about. Very interested in this, always have been. The Pentagon UFO unit is trying to come out with their secrets. They say they're gonna come out with their secrets and discoveries of UFO aircraft. I've been telling y'all a long time that Hitler was making UFOs back in the 30s. I'm just going to read this right here. This Operation High Jump, Admiral Byrd. Just like with any other conspiracy, there are rumors, lies, misinformation, and confusion. Many people come out and say they are experts on the subject. I am not an expert on this subject, and I am confused about the whole high jump conspiracy as anyone else. But let's go through some of the facts, or the so-called facts, in today's questionable news environment. Yeah, there is a lot of misinformation out here, man. For real. You gotta weed through that shit. You gotta be very discerning. Admiral Richard Byrd was a naval officer and led an expedition in 1946 to Antarctica. Very interesting, because I heard the Nazi. Well, let me just read. There were many reasons to go to the unexplored continent. The nuclear age had begun, and the United States wanted to establish a base outside of its territory to help with an attack by the Soviet Union. Of course, the Navy also wanted to check out the conditions and terrain of Antarctica. There also is the rumor that the U.S. was concerned with if and where some of the Nazis had gone to after the Second World War had ended. To add to the controversy, the Navy sent out quite the fleet to the South Pole. The fleet included 13 ships, 23 aircraft, and approximately 4,700 troops. Why so much to just explore an unexplored area? Wouldn't just a group of scientists be sufficient? There are many different versions of the encounter by Task Force 68. One rumor was supported by the well-known fact that the Nazis had traveled to Antarctica before and after the war. It is said by some that Admiral Byrd and his fleet were intercepted on the way to the frozen land by UFOs. Hitler built that, y'all. Were these craft built by the Nazi, or were they from out of this world? There are pictures from World War II that the Germans had, at the very least, shown interest in the flying saucer concept, and they were known to be fascinated with the UFO phenomenon. The story goes on to say that there were Soviet spies that had followed the Americans on their voyage and saw the occurrences happen with their own eyes. A battle between the fleet and the UFO then began. There were casualties that did happen on the voyage. That is proven with documentation. Wow. Many vessels were destroyed, and there are mixed versions of the number of casualties that were suffered. The El Maracuro newspaper from Chile reported an interview with Admiral Byrd on March 5, 1947. The newspaper quoted Admiral Byrd declared today that it was imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions. Yeah, after y'all got your ass kicked. Furthermore, Byrd stated that he didn't want to frighten anyone unduly, but that it was a bitter reality that in case of a new war, the continental United States would be attacked by flying objects which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. That is quite a scary statement. Damn. There, of course, as always, the theory of a government cover-up. There was also the fact that Secretary of Defense James Forrestal started talking about some controversial military events that had supposedly occurred. That included Project High Jump. James Forrestal was placed in a Bechdeva Naval Hospital psychiatric ward. He was not allowed to talk to anyone. That included his wife, shortly after James Forrestal jumped out or was pushed out of a window and died. Whatever you believe, it is ironic that this happened shortly after the Roswell crash. Also, many Nazis were unaccounted for after the war ended. Rumors that many of them fled to South America continue to today. Technology occurred at rapid speed after the late 1940s, and this subject and the Roswell event both make one ponder where and how did we get this technology. Another article, Nazis Germany dark secret that you will have difficulty to believe UFO technology and production. One of the most important architects of the bloody stain left in the history of World War II is Nazi Germany. At that time, they kept walking from language to language, where they carried out secret studies, worked on different technological developments, and even carried out experiments prohibited on people. Nazi Germany is one of the most interesting and worthy of research topics that UFO produced and used during the war period. Studies conducted by Nazi Germany. The news in New York Times newspaper on June 7, 1945 was as follows. Flying saucers are a secret weapon. It was produced by the Germans and appeared on the western border of the country. According to the information provided by the American Air Force, silver balloons were seen flying in the skies of Germany. Yeah, they were called Foo Fighters. Some of them are even almost transparent. After the news appeared in the media worldwide, UFO notices increased and rumors spread that these flying saucers were German-made weapons. It was believed by people that the German arms industry produced these strange objects. UFO observations were increasing rapidly, especially the Scandinavian skies were frequently visited by flying ships. German garrisons were established in Scandinavia and they remained in the area until the end of the war. In this period, the SS ideology was aimed at the benefit of humanity and to search for new energy sources that can be used by many people in line with scientific research. After a while, Victor Sternberg's sketches of flying saucers appeared. The plans and drawings prepared had an incredible resemblance to the UFOs that the famous contractor George Adamski photographed in 1952. First flying saucer is produced Vril. And we know Vril is a secret society that was able to meditate and contact other world terrestrial beings to get this technology. Look up Vril Society if you don't believe me. The Germans had already engaged in the production of circular aircraft in 1941 and 1942. However, in the first attempts, huge construction errors appeared. After V1, V2, V4 engineer Richard Meath in 1942, Italian science started working with his man Giuseppe Ballanzo on a new model of the V7 with the support of Hitler. As time passed, the Meath-Ballanzo team engaged in joint search with the Shriver duo. Thus, the incredible legendary V7 appeared. The first flight attempt reached 20,813 meters and the second flight increased to 24,200 meters. On the other hand, the project of flying disc known as Vril was also continuing. The architect of this project was the Schumann Group and was receiving support from the SS E4 division, specializing in miraculous weapons. It is known that 17 objects were produced in the Vril 1 series. The discs were 11.56 meters in diameter and could reach a speed of 2,900 kilometers. Strangely, the looks of Vril V1 and V9 were very similar to the objects that the American astronaut Edwin Aldrin saw on the moon's surface. Yes, they were very similar if they're getting their technologies from highly advanced beings that probably live in the inner earth. Nagas, Nagas. Look that up. The Germans continued to work The Germans continued working to perfect their weapons until the end of the war. They called their new project Fireball. Foo Fighters. I call them Foo Fighters. They've been known to be called Foo Fighters also. Fireballs driven by radio waves had only one goal: to destroy. He found gas from enemy aircraft and made his radars inoperative. The fireballs that caused the engine or electrical system to collapse completely were frightening. This feature suggests that in some UFO observations, the UFO stopping car engines during close contact, a power outage, or temporary deterioration in powered devices. At that time, circular-shaped vehicles called UFOs were built, used, and numerous observations were made by witnesses. In observation, which has the feature of a top-secret military document, the name and identity of the witnesses were not disclosed. Witnesses were not disclosed. Germany's Bavaria. Oh, Saturday afternoon was about to be in the evening. On the other hand, I saw a flying object approaching its height, which was not very high. Its diameter was about 8 and 20 meters. It was whistling around, and the object was shaking with a slight vibration. At the bottom of the object, there were 3 hemispherical beads and 1 blue dot. The picture of the swastika in the middle immediately caught my attention. The window had nothing similar. There were only holes. There were no buildings in this desolate place, an environment other than the old factories that no longer work. The strange object descended and, as far as I can see, landed on the ground behind a wall. The truck that emerged soon approached the object and started to be things that I couldn't choose from afar. Probably meant and started to do things that I couldn't choose from afar. I could only see 2 silhouettes in human form. One was on the bottom of the flying object and the other was on it. Seton Ball, who was perhaps the only one who leaned on the concept of travel in time and Turkish history and continues his studies in Denizli. Nazi Germany, who has been working on UFO technology, have also been closely interested in invisibility technology, time travel, and size jump. In fact, it is said that a team was sent to Tibet and India to investigate the prehistoric records of flying vehicles named Vimana, which are mentioned in epics to investigate these and similar technologies. Yep, look up Vimana. These flying machines, these saucers, there's nothing new under the sun. These things are very ancient. Atlantis days. In my opinion, Nazi scientists at that time knew that electromagnetic power could lead to many supernatural phenomena, and they somehow knew that the technologies in question could somehow be solved within the mysterious nature of electromagnetism. And they thought they could oppose gravity using the principles of electromagnetism. Hitler occult was also interested in sciences. He thought that the German race was a superior race that was the continuation of a great civilization, Atlantis, in the past. Adolf Hitler was also concerned with spiritual knowledge and extraterrestrial connections made through this channel. It is true that Hitler did some work on UFOs and even used UFOs, although they are not included in the usual history records. According to a speculation that was hard to believe, General Himmler, the right hand of Adolf Hitler, was then given this task. Hitler realized UFO production according to German sources. Look at that thing, man. New historical sources emerging in Germany revealed that Hitler developed aircraft similar to UFOs in the last period of the war. According to the German documentary, the Nazis continued to maintain their superiority in Europe in 1943. However, its army started to decline in other regions. Hitler found the remedy to produce wingless planes called Shhhhh 7 prototype planes prepared with plans stolen from an engineer named Andreas Epp were not caught on radars and were rotating in their environment. The appearance of the 15 prototype planes prepared looked like UFOs. When Hitler successfully completed the test flights, he introduced them to his friendly Italian leader Mussolini. Luigi Romersa, one of Mussolini's weapon advisors, described the Germans' UFO, saying it was round in the middle. There was a cockpit covered with glass and jet engines on the edge. Planes could not be produced due to factory errors. In the last months of the war, along with Skoda factory in Prague, their drawings and prototypes were destroyed. In June 1937, the leading figures of the Nazi army, including Hitler and Goering, sent forces specially selected from their troops out of the country. The task of these troops was to collect information about space and aliens. Damn. It is assumed that during a survey of Noah's Ark found in Turkey's borders painted on Mount, listen to some stories. According to these stories, 200 generations ago, a big and very noisy house landed on the earth. The noise of the flying object called the house was heard by everyone in the village. Later, one of the village people encountered this object. The human beings that came out of it greeted the man. He told the man to come aboard. The man told the villagers that the outside of the ship was too hot and bright to be touched, and that after he entered, the ship took off. The ship took off and flew like a bird, and the men took off their hats made of stone and talked to him. The story was reported to Germany. Two more units were sent to the same area a month later. In the first group, there were scientists who produced the famous chemical death weapons of Hitler. This group was tasked to find the house mentioned. Scientists began to search for the house mentioned using all the technology of that day. Finally, they achieved these goals. They found this ship inside the cave at the top of a mountain. The UFO was 25 meters wide and 8 meters high. It was made of a solid substance not found in the world. Although scientists tried to operate the ship, it was not successful. Founded in December 1938, the UFO was brought to Germany in secrecy. The most famous scientists in Germany were brought to the region established in the north of Munich for UFO research. The research laboratory is deployed to an area where ancient salt mines are located so that they are not noticed by other forces. But this region did not take long to be noticed by agents of the United States. Nazi scientists had a lot of information about UFO and its components. In July 1941, the United States managed to get an agent they named OZ Code into this lab. Oz took pictures of this place and received many documents about it. But these documents and pictures were confiscated by Russian troops collecting the Nazi treasure in Germany at the time of their dispatch to America. A large Russian troop was sent to these lands, and neither of these established UFO bases nor documents were found in the following times. Alright, y'all. So, here's a picture. Oh my God, come on, bro. Don't do that. Oh, what's going on? What y'all doing? That ain't what I'm looking for. Okay, it's not going. Where's the UFO picture? All right. trying to see if y'all can see it. Okay, Admiral Byrd. When Admiral Byrd, it is said during Operation High Jump, 1947, Admiral Byrd's crew was attacked. Like I read earlier, that is the UFO. It came out the water, scared the hell out of the troops, scared the hell out of the the men, the seamen on board these ships. It destroyed some ships. It destroyed some planes. You can see all this chaos in the air. That seemed like that's one ship. That's another UFO. Two UFOs. It came out the water, y'all, and was destroying shit. Now I don't know if these were extraterrestrials from another world, or they were troops, or they were Nazi troops. Don't know. But it did destroy a big ass Navy vessel right here. And it's documented. It is also documented that, that's what Admiral Byrd talked about. He said it was imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions. Furthermore, Byrd stated that he didn't want to frighten anyone unduly, but that it was a bitter reality that in case of a new war, the continent would be attacked by flying objects, which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Yeah, because they got their ass whooped during Operation High Jump when they went to Antarctica, probably seeking secret Nazi bases. And this is what they encountered. They encountered UFOs that kicked their ass, coming out the water, scared the hell out of them. But y'all may think this is Photoshop, right? Y'all may not believe this. Okay, check out this video.